All right. Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Liberty Dad Podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. I am your very late host, DL, America's most objective libertarian, and apparently America's most least timely libertarian. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much for joining me or giving me your time so early. Goodness, I can't even get out my own script here. Goodness, what's going on? Well, let me dive right into it. Let me just tell you. The whole entire family woke up late today. Like, none of us were up. It was almost 7 o'clock before we all got up. Like, my alarm went off at like 5, and I was like, ugh. I don't know why. Maybe it was too long of a weekend. Maybe that's what it was. But so I woke up, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to lay here for a second. I don't know why I do that. Laying here for just a second always means at least a half an hour later, then I wake up. But in this particular case, apparently it was almost 2 hours later. Like I woke up at like 5, and then like I woke back up. It was probably about 6:45. And I woke back up, and I was just like, okay. And then I got out of bed. I was like, all right, I gotta get up. And then I got out of bed, and I looked at the clock, and I was like, oh. Like, it's almost 7 o'clock. I was like, I got a show to do today. So here we are. So that's what's going on. And then on top of that, like, I was like, all right, well, I'll just do the show at 8 o'clock. And then I'm finalizing, getting everything ready. And then my son comes walking into the house. And I'm like, they just left. And apparently, where he goes to school, they have to wear a uniform. And it's dress down day today. So he comes back in. He's like, yeah, I was like, I forgot it was dress down day. And he was like really kind of upset about it. So he was like trying to go and get his clothes so he could wear cool clothes for the day. So anyway, that's what's going on in the Liberty Dad household today. Fun times. All right, so let's get into it. What are we going to talk about today? I normally do my announcements up front. I'm going to do my announcements at the end of the show. So hold tight for that. For now, I want to talk about this video that went viral over the weekend. Or at least that's when I saw it. Perhaps it went viral a different time. And how does this, like, we're doing a bill review, but remember, bill review is kind of like this catch-all word for anything official, right? So it could be an executive order, if we had decrees or something like that, whatever. It could be a court ruling. It could be actual legislation. Today, we're going to talk about the Naturalization Oath, because this clip from the Whatever podcast, it kind of blew up, and people have a lot to say about it. So let's go ahead and play that clip. I don't even think I have it quite ready. So let me, I forgot to cue that one up. I was in such a rush trying to get everything done. So let me cue this up real quick, and then we will watch this video, and we're gonna talk about this oath. And I've got some issues. I mean, look, yeah, I can't just say I got issues. Like, everybody's like, yeah, of course. I've got some issues with the reactions that people have to this clip. So let's play it really quickly, and then you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about here. Let's see.
Let's say the United States went to war with Colombia. Who do you side with?
Colombia.
Get the fuck out of our country. Holy fuck. Why do you side with Colombia?
Because I'm from Colombia.
You've lived here for 10 years and you're now a citizen.
Okay, still that doesn't mean I'm not gonna side
You
with
have
my
no...
country.
Okay, I'm looking this up. Yes.
Okay, so let's pause here really quickly and just when you're a naturalized citizen, the idea of becoming a citizen is that you shift your loyalty, whatever loyalty that you have, from the country that you came from to this country. And that's pretty standard wherever you go. If you become a citizen of another country, they expect you to have loyalty to that country. A lot of my libertarian peers will take qualms with that. I do not. I don't care. The way I look at it is, I think you should have some dedication to the country that you have decided that you want to be a citizen of. I do. I think you should have some loyalty. Now, should it be the exact loyalty that the Republicans might say or the Democrats might? No. I think you should actually be, I think it should be a level of loyalty that says, I'm here for the American people. I like this country. I like the system of governance that it has. I think it's the best country on the planet. I mean, you don't have to say that. But something along that line where you're basically saying, think about it. The whole point of changing your citizenship is saying you would rather be a citizen of this country than this one. Now, I think technically she has dual citizenship, I think is what she claimed later. I don't know. I assume that she's telling the truth. But I that's like, why bother? You can live in another country and not be a citizen. You don't get as many privileges. And if you want those privileges, then I think it's fair for the country to be like, yeah, just kind of give some allegiance to us. Now, if you're 20 and you're like, well, if the U.S. goes to war with my home country, why, I'm totally going to side with my home country. If you're 20, she looks like she's 20, 25 maybe. I'm like, I don't really care. How many 25-year-olds say dumb things that we disagree with, and we have very strong opinions about what they say? How many? Most of them. And we're going to get into this. We're going to get into some of the reactions where people are like, wow, we need to deport her, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I've got something for you, Americans, because many of you need to be a lot more humble. But let's continue and listen on. I just wanted to kind of give you some quick thoughts about what she's said already.
Becoming a citizen requires taking the oath of allegiance. By taking the oath, you pledge to renounce any foreign allegiance, support and defend the U.S. Constitution and laws, and perform service to the country when required by law. You do not become a citizen until you have completed the oath ceremony and received your certificate of naturalization. Did you receive your certificate of naturalization?
Yes.
Did you complete the oath ceremony?
Yes.
So you're a liar? Do you remember this?
Okay. This is where it gets juicy. I want you to watch and just tell me if anything sticks out. Just anything. Just watch.
Yeah.
Here, read that shit again. I do solemnly swear that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure. I don't even know what the that means. All allegiance, Colombia, and fidelity to any foreign prince or what the potentate? Is that a
His name is Brian Atlas, I think. It's potentate, just for clarity.
fucking fruit? What the is that shit? It's like a pomegranate and a fucking potato. State or sovereignty. Did you say that shit?
Yeah.
So you lied to get into the United States, bruv.
I didn't lie.
You have allegiance to Colombia.
It's not allegiance.
Originally, you said Colombia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll stick
Originally.
to that answer.
All right. So there we go. You notice anything in that clip? Just anything at all? I don't know. That a U.S. citizen, an American, was insisting that a naturalized citizen hold that oath with full sincerity, but wasn't even familiar with some of the words in the oath. Just saying. Like, he didn't know what abjure meant. He didn't even know how to pronounce potentate, or much less know what it meant. But yet he insists that this naturalized citizen, why they ought to be held to this strict standard, that if you say on a dumb podcast that you would that your allegiance, or that you would side with Colombia, or the country that you came from, if you would side from the country that you came from over the U.S. in a war, that you should be deported. Now, there's a few things going on here. Number one, actually, you know what? Let me read you a few more things. Let me read you some stuff here. Where is it at? Where is it? There it is. I don't have the pictures for him to put it up, but so here are some of the comments that I saw on social media. This is a great example of citizenship fraud. And I will discuss on my next stream how she can be deported legally. This is from an account named The Legal Mindset. Over on Ann Coulter, she said she committed fraud to become naturalized so she can be denaturalized. And then we've got some based bandits. They said, why does that pop up? This Colombian woman who only lived in Colombia for 10 years of her life was granted U.S. citizenship, and when asked which country she's loyal to, said Colombia. Okay, well, that's not really what she said exactly. She said, if in this hypothetical, if the U.S. goes to war with Colombia, I'm going to side with Colombia. Now, that's not necessarily saying that's the country I'm loyal to. I mean, in a way, I guess it is. Maybe I'm splitting hairs here. All right? I'm with the panel on this one. If your loyalty isn't to America, then you can go back home. We're going to talk about that. The greatest privilege I've ever had and am eternally grateful for was becoming an American citizen. My allegiance is only to America. Good for you. Here's from Carl Benjamin. I honestly marvel at the naivety of Americans when it comes to citizenship. Of course she won't renounce her country. Nobody ever really does, because it would effectively make them a Benedict Arnold, a traitor. She doesn't even understand why he's asking. Well, that's interesting. So if she doesn't understand why she's asking, why are we angry at her? Why are we upset at somebody who may not even themselves? Does she understand why this is important? Could she explain that? I didn't see the episode, so I don't know if maybe they had a further conversation. And she has since come out with her own response video. I watched like a couple seconds of it, but I don't really care, because actually I'm not here to talk about her. I want to talk about the oath. I want to talk about the Naturalization Oath. And we might bring up a little something called the Pledge of Allegiance, because I have a beef with my fellow Americans who are taking this woman to task and calling for her to be deported and denaturalized and all this other stuff. Mario Nawfall, Nawfall, he said, he's got a lot here. I guess I should not. He said, if you're not all in on America, you should not be in at all. Okay. Let's test that theory in just a moment here. And then breaking, a Colombian woman who was granted U.S. citizenship and bragged on a podcast that she is loyal only to Colombia. Boy, this is from Right Angle News Network. You know, side tangent really quickly. If you're going to be a big, massive account, and you're going to, and this account that I'm reading from has like over 300,000 followers, and you're going to talk about things, perhaps you frame things as they are, not through your BS lenses. She didn't brag on a podcast that she was loyal. She was literally asked. He was like, hey, would you, in this situation, side with the U.S. or Colombia? She was like, Colombia. And he's like, but did you take your test? Yes. Did you do this? Yes. Like, there's no bragging there. How can I trust Americans, my fellow Americans, to get it right if you can't even understand a simple conversation? And I'm supposed to go to you for ideas on how we look at people that take the naturalization oath? You can't even follow a conversation. You exaggerate it all to hell. That's ridiculous. It goes on to say, sparked mass calls for the U.S. government to strip her and other immigrants like her of their citizenship and send them back where they belong. Huh. That's interesting. Well, let's talk about that. Okay? Let's pull this up on the screen really quickly. All right, let me I got a few things disheveled here. Let's get this. We will get this quick, fast, and in a hurry. Give me just a second here. I had most everything ready, but we had a couple things. There we go. All right, there we are. And bam. Okay, naturalization oath. Here it is, up on the screen so that you can see it. It says, I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. It goes on to say, all right, there we go. It goes on to say that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. That's the naturalization oath. That's fair. I'm not gonna spend time arguing in favor of it or against it. What we first need to do is understand the damn thing. Because clearly there are Americans that don't even know some of the words in it, but they're insistent that, hey, if you said in this hypothetical on the whatever podcast that you would do this thing, we're going to strip you of your naturalization. Okay, let me just ask. I don't know if we're allowed to ask questions, but I'm going to. Have we gotten rid of all the violent criminals that are immigrants, legal or otherwise? Have we dealt with that? I'm talking about people that have, like, assaulted people, stabbed people, armed robbery, very serious offenses. They've physically harmed another person, be it another immigrant or be it an American citizen. Have we gotten rid of all of them yet? Is that where we are? Are we so good in this country that we can start looking at young women talking foolish on a podcast? And I don't look, I think podcasts are great. I clearly have one. But at the same time, is that really like the official record now? What you say on a podcast, that's what we're going to destroy your whole life over? Really? Because I seem to remember a right wing, I don't know, 3 to 4 years ago, that were really upset because they would say something on a podcast and the whole podcast would be taken down on a certain platform because they said the wrong things. And they were angry and they were like, we're Americans. We have freedom of speech. Do you? Because freedom of speech to only say the things that you're supposed to say is not really freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech when you say things that are offensive. And as far as I know, there is no oath in the United States that says if you say something on a podcast that you may or may not mean, we will deport you. You don't know until we actually go to war with Colombia and then she starts giving material aid to Colombia. You have no idea. Up until that point, it's just freedom of speech. Americans don't even know their own damn country. But it gets worse. I mean, you don't know the words in the oath. And I'm not going to criticize anybody for not knowing the oath. I mean, my wife is a naturalized citizen, and I probably read this when she went and got naturalized, and I have since forgotten it. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I don't have no problems if any American is like, I've never read that. That's cool. That's fine. Or if you did read it and you forgot it. You know, there's only so much space in your brain to remember stuff. I get that. So no issues there. But if you're going to insist that somebody lose their naturalization because of something they said on a podcast, you are no better than the tyrants we had during COVID. You really aren't. You are the same person because you are saying this person should be punished for wrong speak. That is exactly what you're saying. You need to be humbled. And then on top of it, if you're not even familiar with the words in it, why are you even talking? if you're like abjure, what does that mean? By the way, abjure is just basically like a way of saying, I solemnly swear. I really mean it. Right? That's what it was. Let's look at that. Where did I go again? Put that back up on the screen. We'll go back. All right? I'm going to move this screen over here so I can see it at all times. All right. So it says, I entirely renounce. Renounce is like, I give up. And abjure, I really mean it. All allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, basically an authoritarian leader of any kind. Right? Like, we wrote this way back in the day when there were kings. Okay? Or maybe shortly thereafter. All right? So, like, the language is for the time, the time period that the world was in. State or sovereignty, okay? So it's just like, look, you have to renounce any kind of loyalty to any government or any person that runs a government. Wait, what? You feeling where I'm about to go with this? How many Americans have said, well, the governor, the mayor, they need to do this thing because that's what Donald Trump would want? Oh, Americans. Oh, many of you are not yourselves loyal to the Republic, to the United States of America. No, many of you aren't. Many of you are violating it in practice. What you're demanding this woman be loyal to in word. Well, we haven't seen, like, I don't know. Maybe if the country did go to war with Colombia, maybe she would go, whoa, Colombia's on the wrong here. They deserve it. We don't know. You don't know. This is one of those situations where you can say one thing, but it may or may not come to pass. It's kind of like the person that's like, man, if I was there and there was an armed robbery, I would have done this. Yeah, you might like to believe what you would have done, but you never know. Right? Until you've been in that situation, you don't really know how you will act. And it was a dumb hypothetical. But this oath, it says, hey, you're not, foreign prince, potentate. And now you might squabble and say, well, DL, it says foreign. So we totally can have, allegiance to like Donald Trump or to the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, Kamala Harris or whomever. Okay, well, I got something for you. You ever seen this? This is the Pledge of Allegiance. Virtually every citizen in this country, natural-born citizen, virtually every one of them said, especially if you're my age, has said this day in and day out, all through school. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Okay, that's not Donald Trump. And to the republic for which it stands. Also not Donald Trump. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's interesting. Nothing in here about Donald Trump has a mandate. Nothing in here about loyalty to the Republican Party. Remember all the people on the right that are trying to kick out Thomas Massie because he won't vote hard enough with the Republicans, with the Republican Party, even though his voting record is like 90-some%. It's like somewhere between 90 and 95% that he votes with this party. But that's not good enough. We need to kick him out. And when he comes out and he says, I voted no on this thing and it's unpopular, he says, because this reason. And that reason is almost always in line with protecting the country. You may not like it, but it is. He'll look and he'll say, this is either constitutional or it's not constitutional. So you have a lot of, right now I'm picking on the Republicans because they're the guilty ones, because they're the ones in power. Republicans are demanding right now that people be loyal to Trump and the Republican Party. And a whole lot of Americans are totally on board with this. You grew up reading allegiance to the Republic, but you're not in practice. In the real world, it is my team versus your team. It's not what is best for the republic. How was this republic designed? Half of you, okay, maybe not half, that's an exaggeration. Far too many of my fellow Americans can barely tell you how the government is supposed to work. You ever seen the man on the street videos? There's a variety of them, right? They go out and they're like, what are the three branches? And people are like, and they'll name like maybe two and they can't get that third one. Oh, okay. That person's cool, but the woman who gave an oath and said something contrary to that oath on a podcast, that's who we got to worry about. And some people are literally calling this a national security issue. I'm going to be a little mean here. She's a tattoo artist with face tats. Really? That's our national security issue? That's the person we're worried about bringing down this country? I mean, no shade to tattoo artists or anybody that's got a face tattoo, but I just feel like you're not really the biggest threat to this whole country. You're just not. Are you a pain sometimes? Perhaps. Me and my fellow Americans are also pains, so whatever. But you guys said this day in and day out, and far too many of you don't even really mean it. And then you want to throw shade at a girl who at least was honest. I mean, at least she's honest. She's like, yeah, I'm from Colombia. I've got some ties to Colombia, hopefully not neckties. Just throwing that out there, And then you're like, she bragged about it. She wasn't bragging, not in the clip that I saw. There were other clips, and I didn't see any where she was bragging about it. It's like Americans don't even know how to use words. You don't know you don't know what the word abjure means. You can't say potentate. You misuse brag. You guys, you don't even understand your own damn language. And you want a foreigner to hold their oath when you don't? I criticized on this podcast in the past people who would say things like Donald Trump has a mandate. And then I pointed out, remember, people were saying, talk about here in Jacksonville, they were like the Mayor Donna Deegan, a Democrat. They were like, she needs to get in line with what the president wants. Our own city council members were saying that. Elected officials in this country were showing allegiance to the president, not to the republic. And the very oath that they took day in and day out. Were they liars? Own up. I'm a little fired up today because, this is ridiculous. Dad should not have to get on the show and tell you nincompoops that, hey, before you go demand somebody else uphold an oath, why don't you start yourself? How many times have I said this is unconstitutional and people are like, and you bend over backwards to make arguments that something is constitutional or that we really, really need it this time? We are so far removed from the Constitution that, to be honest with you, I will just say pretty much most nobody is upholding it. Nobody has any allegiance to the Republic. And I don't mean my anarchist friends who will reject it in the first place. I'm talking about U.S.-born American citizens who said the oath, who will get mad if you kneel when you're drawing a blank here at the national anthem. If you kneel during the national anthem, they'll have an uproar. If you don't believe in the pledge, if you refuse to say it, they'll get angry. But then they'll turn around and they will show you by their own actions that they never meant it. And they're never held account to it. And I don't think you necessarily should be, because the only way to hold somebody accountable for it is there's two ways. We could do it culturally. right? We could kind of shun somebody and be like, oh, you don't really believe it? Ew. We're not doing that. And then the other way, which I very much would object to, would be the government doing it. Well, I don't want the government to punish somebody who violated their oath in word, much less violated the Pledge of Allegiance in practice. I don't want either one to happen, not from government. And if my fellow Americans want to shun somebody for violating their oath on a podcast in word, that's fine. He who has sinned not cast the first damn stone. I don't think you're supposed to swear when you're citing biblical passages. Apologies for that. I'm a little fired up because this makes me so irritated. Fix yourself first, America. Be humble. And for God's sakes, it's a 25-year-old girl. Did you not say dumb things that somebody else could have said, your whole life needs to be destroyed because of that thing you said? We didn't have podcasts when I was 20. I mean, maybe we're starting to. It was kind of like, like if you were a big corporation or something like that, or if you had, if that was like your business. But like every Tom, Dick, and Harry did not have a podcast when I was like 25. Today, everybody has one. You got a phone, you have a podcast. It's pretty easy. Right? It's not difficult at all. And so for me, I look at it and I say, there were plenty of things that are not on record that I said, that many of my friends said, that I would not want to be held accountable and destroy my whole life over. And I think that one comment from, what was it, Mario? Who was it? Let me see. Let me pull it back up so I can see it here. Let's see here. I think it was Mario where he said, oh, yeah, no, it was from Carl Benjamin. He said, she doesn't even understand why he's asking. Okay, if she does not understand why he's asking, and we gave her citizenship, whose fault is that? It's our fault. It's not her fault. If I test you on something and I don't make, and let's say that the extent of the test is that you can give me the right answers. But let's say I don't go through the effort to figure out, do you really know why these answers are correct? And then I give you a grade, a 100. And then somebody walks around and they're like, I've got this 100. And somebody questions them about something on the test, and they don't really fundamentally understand it. It's not their fault. I'm the one that gave them the 100. I'm the one that said, you know this material. I have failed them. If she doesn't understand the gravity of this, why people are upset, right? If she can't explain it to you, if she can't talk about Benedict Arnold or how effectively by renouncing her citizenship in the oath that you take for naturalization, if she cannot say why that would be a big deal, why Colombia as a whole entire country might shun her or might look at her differently at least, if she can't explain that, that's a failure of America. Why are we giving out citizenship if we can later say they don't even understand the seriousness of this? Now, and when I say seriousness, I just mean why everybody's so upset and bothered. And could they go after her? I guess technically, right? I guess there's technically a legal path for which they can look and say, you lied because you told us that your allegiance was 100% with the United States, and over here, you are saying it is not. And then she seems to have doubled down on it. Okay, so technically, could they get her and remove her? Yeah. But then I go back to, remember before the election, we had Tren de Aragua taking over apartment complexes in Colorado. Have we heard any update about that? Are they all gone? Have we removed every violent gang member that's a Tren de Aragua or MS-13? Have we removed them from the United States? Have we dealt with their crimes? Have we? Or because I prioritize things. Our government only has so much resources to work with until they take more from the helpless citizens, somewhat helpless. They only have so much resources to work with. And look, let me just be clear. I'm not necessarily on board with the deportations like most people are. I've been very, very clear that if you have committed a violent crime, you've stabbed somebody, you have assaulted somebody, armed robbery, those kind of things, or you've committed a major property crime. You stole a whole car, maybe nobody got hurt, right? You stole it in the middle of the night and you ran off with it. Like, I'm okay with deporting you for those. Those are major issues. You should be deported. If you've been naturalized and you committed a violent crime, I would be okay with denaturalizing you. My criteria is very simple. No violent crimes, no major property crimes. If you were 20 and you shoplifted a candy bar, I'm not too worried about that. You should be punished. To me, that one suggests that, hey, it's a small thing. We could probably easily rehabilitate you, get you kind of on the right path, and then you can go on to be a useful member of this country. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not trying to kick people out left. I'm not looking for reasons. I'm looking for the kind of society that I want to build. The kind of society that I want to build says, hey, we do not tolerate violent criminals, major property crimes. If it's a small thing, then we'll work with you until we can't. That's the kind of society that I want to build. Because I get it. People do dumb things. When I was in my 20s, I did far worse in this country than, say, I would side with Colombia. I did far, far worse. And this country had grace on me. And here I am looking back and going, man, what a dumb young person I was. That's the kind of country that I want to build. Okay, so I don't look at this from the angle of, oh, you violated the law, we got to get rid of you. Oh, you said you didn't really mean the oath, we got to get rid of you. That's not where I'm coming from. Where I'm coming from is saying, I want to build this kind of society, one that has a little bit of grace and maybe a little bit of humility. So if you have not deported all of the violent criminals, all of the people that have committed major property crime, you do not have time to worry about the 25-year-old girl, however old she is, that's on whatever podcast talking about how she might not have meant the oath that she took. We don't have time for that. I'm sorry. No. I know people will go, we can do two things at once. No, we can't. No, we can't. We have demonstrated repeatedly we cannot do two things at once. We can't even get our Congress members to read the damn bills they vote on. I mean, Americans are so derelict in their own duty, if you will, their own responsibility. They're not in a position to be criticizing some 25-year-old girl who says something dumb on a podcast. We don't hold our own elected officials accountable. Epstein files, hello. We got those yet? No, we haven't. But we keep getting more and more excuses. Have Americans tossed anybody out of office? Have they said, you know what? Time for a recall. You can't do your job. You're done. You're out. We have all these means. I'm not talking about violent revolution or anything. I'm just saying, like, there are plenty of legal recourses that we can and should be taking to deal with people in office that are not acting on behalf of the Republic. They're acting on behalf of their own interest. Yet, what do? We elect them. We make defenses for them. We elect the next person that does that. We don't punish them when we get a chance. Right? Respectfully punishment. I mean, like due process, all that good stuff. I'm not talking about just go off in a mob and attack somebody. I'm talking about due process. Do it the right way. We don't do any of that. Americans are not in a position to lecture immigrants on their oath. He who was sin not, cast the first stone. Americans, you're not ready to cast that stone. I'm sorry. That's the truth. Somebody needs to tell it to you. And for God's sake, expand your vocabulary. All right. That's it. That's all I got. Let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. Maybe you're eating me up. I don't know. Let's see what we got here. Oh, we got to go to we got to get the comment tunes. Let's see here. Where is it? Live chat. There we go. Let's get to the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Yeah, I was late. I apologize. I don't think, Joe says, I don't think that whatever podcast is sincere. I believe they purposely are goofy trolls. I think it's scripted. Maybe. It maybe is. I don't really know. But at the end of the day, to me, it's like trying to punish somebody who went on Jerry Springer. You're like, I don't know. They're like, there's some question as to how authentic it is. But it's also like, it's just, in a sense, garbage TV. I mean, nobody's really learning from what I've seen. I could be wrong, but nobody's really learning anything important about our government from the whatever podcast. Just saying. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to trash them. I'm just saying, like, slow brow. Okay, there's a lot of other content out there that I think is more useful and would be worth your attention when it comes to legal matters. Okay? I mean, if you want to watch TV, look, I was watching Stranger Things last night. Probably why I overslept. I was watching Stranger Things last night. None of that is real. Okay? I mean, it's okay to watch something and check out for a little bit. But I also am not going to run around and be like, well, I saw this on Stranger Things, so therefore, let's start invoking our legal system over it. Like, no, that's ridiculous. You know? Let's see. That Liberty Lady says, how many people are born and raised here in the USA and have allegiance to a different country where we send all our money to, cough, cough, you know the country. I'm just saying. Like, we're having a big argument right now about the money that we're sending to, like, Ukraine, to Israel, just to name two countries. And a lot of people want to send resources there, and a lot of other people are like, hey, no, America first. Right? Let's focus on America. We don't have the money. Thomas Massey, who I mentioned earlier, he has said no on sending money to Israel. And he's like, we're broke. And what do Americans do? To the man that has actually upheld the oath, if you will, the pledge to the republic, they have been like, let's punish him. Are you kidding me? But we want to worry about the Colombian girl, the tattoo artist. She's going to be our big problem when we go to war with Colombia. Right. Let's see what else we got. I like this. Maybe she's seen America get into war that shouldn't have started and knows that America shouldn't be starting a war with another country. Maybe she's anti-war. I don't know. Like, look, if the United States went to war with Colombia, I might side with Colombia. Depends on the situation, what's going on. Right now, I have been calling out my own country for what I consider to be acts of war for all the things that they're doing over in Venezuela. You're bombing boats, act of war. The president just recently came out and said, hey, the airspace in and around Venezuela, we control it. I call that an act of war. Why? Not because Venezuela said yes or no, necessarily, because he didn't have congressional approval. Oh, you want the Colombian to give an oath to the United States, and half of you can't even abide by the Constitution. Interesting. Let's see. This is a good question. When do elected officials start adhering to the naturalization oath? When do they start adhering to the Constitution or any oath that they've taken? Hell, just their campaign promises. Like our elected officials, they don't honor virtually anything that they've said, with the exception of a handful. Let's see. DL doesn't remember the naturalization oath. I really don't. I was there when my wife said it, right? I was there because, she got naturalized. And I probably thought, like, that's a nice oath. I didn't really think much of it. Let's see. Yes, the loyalty to Trump is getting effing old. It is. It really is. Good morning to you, John Winshower. I hope I said that right. Good morning to you, John. Let's see. Yes, the two-party trap is geared to go against liberty and the republic. Yes, we literally have a two-party trap right now. Not necessarily on purpose. That's just the nature of it. And Americans are falling for it. They have more allegiance to their political party than they do the republic or the Constitution. Many of them, not all of them, many of them do. You can tell this when it comes up to a constitutional issue. Do they fall on the side of the Constitution and buck their own party, or do they say, no, we've got to do this? This is important. This is how we save the republic. This is how we save America. And it's like, no, but the Constitution says you can't do this. And then they come up with some BS argument how they can kind of warp the words to mean something that they didn't mean and therefore are allowed to do it. Let's see. So no, John, no, this is not Larry Sharp's show. He's got a way cooler show. Come on now. But I appreciate you confusing his really awesome show with my okay show. So let's see what else we got here. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to this December 9th here in just a minute. But yes, December 9th, Larry Sharp's going to be on this podcast to talk about his run for governor. Yes, this is like, if you're Gen X, you can say this for sure, because I was a really dumb young person. Yes, we all were. Let's see what else we got here. John says, those Epstein files are on Pam Bondi's desk. It's just a really, really big disorganized desk. That must be it. That must be, they're on there. And she wants to deliver them, before they redact them. Basically, black lines through everything. Like a certain host once said would happen. It appears to be happening. We're throwing that out there. Let's see. DL, personally attacking me. He knows I'm not strong enough to cast a stone. Come now. You guys are silly. Let's see. I'm still laying in bed because I'm not strong enough to lift the bedsheet off me. That's my excuse anyway. That's how I feel sometimes. When it's really cold, because I'm here in Florida for you folks, when it's really cold, I'm just like, oh no, this comforter is too heavy. I can't lift it. And then my wife was like, get out of bed. All right, let's get into some quick announcements here real quick. So yes, we got the Larry Sharp podcast coming up. This is going to be my last live stream for the year in the morning. What? Yeah, what did you just say? Okay, so here's the deal. I'm not going to go into all the details. So some family things have come up. Nothing terribly bad. Just some family things have come up that need my attention. And you know how I am on this show. My family comes first. And so there are some matters that require my attention. I'm going to give them my attention. I simply don't believe that I can give my attention to these matters properly and do the podcast and maintain my job and maintain all the other things that I've got to do. Like somewhere, something has to give, right? Like there's only so much time. So I'm going to take a short sabbatical for the rest of the month. Now, let me kind of add some caveat to that. I am not going to do my show Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. until the new year, okay? And depending on how things go, I may need to extend it. We will see. I'm anticipating that we'll be good to go come January. We'll be back, we'll kick butt, and we'll do bill reviews, and we'll do all the conversations about, politics and culture that we used to do. Hopefully even better. So I'm anticipating coming back in January. Now, in the meantime, I had a few projects that I was working up that some of them I've put on hold, some of them not. So that includes my Wednesday morning show, Human Frequency, with my friend Christina. I reached out to her and I said, look, I hope you're not going to be too angry. I need to take a sabbatical and just put this on pause for the time being. I've got some things I got to take care of. Okay? And she was like, no, I totally get it. She's like, this is cool, family first. And so we're going to put family first on this show. And since I'm halting or pausing my morning show, that would include that new venture as well. But I told her, I said, look forward to this in January. Let's circle back to this in January. All right. So I mean it. I'm not like saying this now and then I'll just be like, you know what? I'm never podcasting again. The other way that you can trust that I'm going to actually come back to podcasting is because I'm going to take an oath. No, I'm just kidding. But the other way is I told you I was going to do a Monday night show once a month. The Dad Talk Roundtable. I will continue to do that, which is only once a month. So it's going to be next Monday night. I will have the pilot episode of that. So the second Monday of every month, I'm getting together several men who are fathers and husbands. And we're going to talk about things from a perspective of a man, a father, or a husband, or all three, some combination thereof. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pick things that people are talking about, and we're going to offer a proper perspective as men. This is my way of uplifting men, fathers, husbands. Like, I want to raise dad voices. That's how I'm doing it. We're going to have conversations about that. And will we always agree? Maybe, maybe not. I'm trying to find a circle of guys that are not necessarily all libertarian. Out of the group that I have so far, 2 of them are libertarian. One of them, I believe, is more conservative, but probably with some libertarian leanings. And then the 4th guy, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure where he stands politically. So, but we all care about our families. We all care about being fathers. We all care about being good men. So that's the important part. And I trust every one of these guys to have a decent, solid, sound perspective. Even if I disagree on some things, that's okay. So that will continue. That's going to start next Monday. So look forward to that. Next Tuesday morning, I will be on air because I have a commitment to Larry Sharp. That's going to be, I believe, the 9th. Is that the 9th? Let me double check. Yes. So next Tuesday on the 9th at 7:30, Larry Sharp will be on this show. So look forward to that. After that, there's not going to be any live streams other than the next Monday night and then next Tuesday. After that, there will be no more live streams until till the new year. I do have an interview queued up at the beginning of the year with a candidate from Iowa. So look forward to that. I don't have that. I can look it up real quick. I got my calendar right here. So let's take a look. I did. I bet I put it on a different calendar. Okay. So anyway, okay. So I've got another candidate queued up. Maybe I put it in a different spot. I'll find it. But next month I have another candidate, and so that's what's going on with the podcast. Going to take care of some family matters. All good to go. Now, what you might see, I may drop some videos from time to time in the next month. I'm definitely going to cut up some videos, some old stuff, and I'm going to make some shorts and stuff like that. I may make 1 or 2 videos that I just drop on you out of nowhere. So keep an eye out, folks. Okay? Let me go back to comments, see if there's anything else here. Yep, Larry Sharp on Liberty Dad podcast, December 9th, 7:30 a.m. I sure hope we're going to get shorts and reels and 8-minute videos. Yes, I will be putting out videos from time to time. Those are going to be less, they're going to require less effort on my part. And since I'm not doing them live, that means if it takes me 3 days to make a 20-minute video, then no big deal, right? So like it allows me to prioritize the family matters that we've got going on here. By the way, just want to point out, family's in great shape. We're doing well. We had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you did. I did fall down some stairs over the weekend. I was at a friend's house, not the weekend, but over on Thursday. I was walking down the stairs with a big box of food to take home. I got about halfway down down the stairs, and it was a wooden stair. I had my socks on. I just slipped, fell on my tailbone-ish area, slid the rest of the way down. And the only bruise that I got was like on my foot where like it wasn't even sore. But like I can't even bend over. Like if I drop something, I have to squat to pick it up. I can't like bend over because like my butt-ish area hurts. But we're doing, otherwise, other than that, we're doing very well here in the Liberty Dad household. We just got to prioritize some things from time to time. And I thank you guys for your patience. And we will be back to fight some tyranny. But that's all I've got to say. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. And look forward again to next Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. That's after next Monday at 8 p.m. for my first Dad Talk Roundtable. But for now, we're going to head on out, and I will see you guys when I see you. You know that I'm all about supporting organizations that hold my values. Make sure you head on over to blackgunsmatter.shop. They've got apparel, stickers, and more. Use the code LibertyDad, all one word, at checkout to score a 10% discount. Or just hit the referral link in the show notes. That'll make it so much easier. Remember, I'm not just a voice on a mic. I'm a dad who's working hard to deliver to you the best libertarian content. Connect with me on Linktree, where you'll find links to my Patreon and buy me a coffee, because, you know, every bit helps keep this show rolling. Plus, you can find me on my other platforms to stay in the loop. With your help, this show, The Message of Liberty, will be seen and heard by more people. As always, I appreciate you tuning in and look forward to seeing you in the next episode.